Hello, I'm Charlayne Woodard, and you're listening to You Might Know Her From with Anne and Damien.
Okay, Damien, you know me and you know that I hate AI.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm resisting it at every turn. And I know people are like, it's inevitable, but guess what? It's not, nothing's inevitable. And like, I'm not going to not fight back just because you're telling me something's inevitable. I'm still going to push back on it. However, I saw something that made me question my absolute zero tolerance policy on AI ChatGPT usage. And I almost sent it to you. I said, let me save it. Maybe he's already done it. Somebody on Twitter posted, I asked ChatGPT to make a human version of my dog, and I immediately regretted it. But then the photo side by side of the dog and the human that ChatGPT turned it into was so insane and funny to me that I was like, I need to see what Ronnie looks like as a human. And I was wondering if you'd done it, if you considered doing it, or if it's too disturbing. What are your thoughts?
So it was a trend on TikTok, and it's actually like the first time I think I had ever used ChatGPT.
Yeah.
And I did do it, and it was disturbing what they initially thought she looked like. So then I had to continue to give feedback.
Oh my!
And then
you have not sent me this.
No, because I was like embarrassed that I did it. But it is crazy. I guess I'll have to share it now so that we can show the listeners what it looks like.
Were you happy with the result?
I mean, in the end, I was like, oh,
there she is.
Yeah. But at first it was a man. And I had to be like, this is a baby girl.
She's like 7. This is a baby girl.
She's 5.
Is she really?
I mean, we don't know, but she was 3 when I got her.
Damien, you got her.
No, she's 8. I'm sorry.
I was about to. It's like you got her the year after the pandemic,
she's 8,
right?
So she's 8.
You got her in 2021.
Yes. So she's 8 because she was allegedly 3. If I'm going by that,
yeah.
She's 8.
Yeah.
She's
a baby.
She is my baby. Hello and welcome back to You Might Know Her From
with Anne and Damien.
This is our show where we, best friends, artistic collaborators, actress sexuals, come together every week and we talk about Ronnie the intern, my dog, my baby girl, and then we sandwich all of our BS with a wonderful interview with an actor, a woman actor. So hello and welcome back to the show.
Welcome back to you beautifuls who have stood by us, loyal listeners, new listeners, fans of this week's guest, Charlayne Woodard. Welcome to You Might Know Her From. We are so privileged to be able to discuss this brilliant singer, dancer, actor, writer, just incredible artist. And I feel like I got to talk to her about one of my favorite things, which is a Suzan-Lori Parks play that we dive deep on. We talk about playwrights, her turning into her own playwright herself and producing her own work. I got to explore so much of Charlayne's work. I feel like I was familiar with, let's say, 5 to 6 projects. I had seen her off Broadway in Jeremy O. Harris's play Daddy, where Alan Cumming revealed his penis on stage, among other things. But I was so excited and delighted to dive in. And I feel like there's a little, let's call it it's not even an Easter egg, but a reveal that happens over the course of this interview that eventually came back to us that we're going to discuss on the back end that was so surprising and so delightful and so charming and so delicious. Just really hope that you get into the work of the great Charlayne Woodard.
You might know her from Pose,
Unbreakable,
Glass,
Secret Invasion,
Cindy,
The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air,
The Crucible,
and the original Broadway company of Ain't Misbehavin.
Huge day. So excited because we are here with actress and playwright Charlayne Woodard. Charlayne, thank you for being on You Might Know Her From.
Oh, it's a pleasure. It's my pleasure.
We're so happy to have you here. I think for our audience, it's important that we set up that you are truly like a prolific solo performer and writer. Your award-winning work includes a little laundry list here. Neat, In Real Life, The Night Watcher, Flight, Phenom, Pretty Fire, and others.
Yes.
And in our research, one of the things that we really loved learning was that you got your start as the lead in the bus and truck tour of Micki Grant's Don't Bother Me, I Can't Cope.
I sure did.
Was actually the first Broadway show with music, lyrics, and a book written by a Black woman. It was also directed by a Black woman.
That's right.
Like Micki Grant, you went on to write your own material. Like, how did that early musical experience help you sit down and craft your first solo show pretty fire?
Well, it was directly responsible because, well, I met Vinette Carroll, the director. She was a guest artist at my school, at my conservatory. And she invited me to go on the bus and truck for summer job, and it was a wonderful, it was a crazy experience. But what I loved most is when I got into rehearsal, there was Micki Grant, and I knew she was an actor, and I knew she had written this thing. And I thought, in those days and time, a Black woman wanted to be on Broadway, so she wrote her own play. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I was in rehearsals, my first musical ever, and I was completely fazed by Micki. She was walking around in the rehearsal, the actual woman, the writer, the creator. This is years after they were on Broadway, and there she was in the rehearsal, walking around and actually connecting with us. Well, she connected with me. And I never let that go, the awesomeness of what she did, because then after that, I came to New York with a musical under my belt from school, and I just went from musical to musical to musical. And like Micki Grant, I wanted to do something else. I wanted to work with words. And back then they're not like now. Oh, you can do everything. Yeah, boom. No, they were not like that. Then you're a singer, you're a dancer, or you're an actor.
Yeah.
I couldn't get auditions for a play. My agents, and I had great agents. Oh, she's musical theater. She's kind of wacky, and I am. But, while I was in those musicals, I was also at the Actors Studio, and I was working to become a member. I was there. I was in classes, scene study classes with great teachers like Geraldine Barron. And my best work, I kept saying, is in class. So when I came to LA, and I didn't have to make my living 8 shows a week, hitting it, get one show and then rehearse that show and then get another show, rehearse. I was doing everything at the same time to make a living in the theater in New York at that time. And I did. But I came to LA and I had weekends off for the first time in my life. In my 15 years of being a professional, I had weekends off and they didn't work on the holidays. And it was like there was time to actually think another way. And I was thinking, how can I change what I have? How did Micki do it? She wrote her own play and she kept writing and kept writing, So I found myself and I sort of fell into it. It's not like I was always saying for those 15 years, I'm going to write something, because I never said that. I couldn't say it because I was too busy like getting it, get that job and make a living. Your parents think you're going to, perish. You're an actor. What can you do in the world but perish? And so I was proving to the parents that I was not going to perish, but I was not fulfilled. So I wrote a play. I thought I would be working on it at the Actors Studio for a couple of years, just bringing it in, working on it. But I guess God had other things in the plan, and
yeah.
I didn't get to work on it. I just immediately did it and ended up in New York City at Manhattan Theater Club. It changed my life, the ability to write something for myself. So I'm not such an enigma. So I'm not such we don't know what to do with her.
Yeah.
Well, she won awards. She's done this. No, we don't know what to do with her. Okay, I know. And I had been doing it in the musicals that I was originating all those years. I could always add something. If you originate, I think there's big power in originating. It's all I ever like to do, originate.
Totally.
It's so interesting what you said about like the best work you felt like you were doing was in class? Because I have to assume a lot of artists agree with that or feel that same energy of like, you know, when you're out in the streets auditioning, it's like you're trying to get a commercial, you're trying to get a show to pay your bills, to keep your insurance, but then you're doing this great work in class. Like, how do you feed the artistic part of yourself? And it sounds like, you know, from your own words that like you felt like writing helped you give yourself that like creative life that maybe you were craving to be seen otherwise.
Yes. You know, also class is really important because even if you're not working, class puts you to work and helps you to know your worth. And you're surrounded with peers, other people who are on the search to be the best they can be in this moment, you know? So class was very important to me. I always tell, you know, I see people get out of school and never go to class again. It's like, well, that's the gym. That's the actor's gym.
Completely.
And we have, just like we have to get to golds, you know, we have to get to class. I still love class.
I love that about you. And I think we were both so inspired by like seeing your journey and then figuring out how you sort of took control of your trajectory by making work for yourself. It's something we admire in artists so much. You talked about sort of like the power of the written word. And one thing that I'm so excited to talk to you about is the fact that you originated the role of Hester in Suzan-Lori Parks' 1999 premiere of In the Blood, which is one of my favorite plays. I unfortunately was not in New York at the time to get to see your production, but I'd love to talk to you about that rehearsal process with Suzan-Lori Parks and how often you all maybe did or did not re-reference the Hawthorne novel and what that process looked like for you. I think the play is perfect.
Well, that was a real turning point because when George C. Wolfe called me for that, you know, I couldn't believe it. First I was doing a show in La Jolla at the time, and I went before the show up to Del Mar to sit on the porch and read it. Just read it.
Yeah.
On the porch of a restaurant overlooking the sea. Something pretty and lovely. I finished reading it. I had to get back to the theater now. It's time to go to work. I'm driving down Pacific Coast Highway. My heart is palpitating. I pull over and vomit it.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
And get back in the car. And I said, I'm telling George, I am not doing this. I'm not doing this play. And I got back there. We used payphones at the time. I got to the theater, got to the green room. I called George and I said, I get a message, but I said, I'm down. I'm doing it. That, you know? Yeah. And I cannot tell you what a challenge it was, but I wanted to work with Reggie Montgomery again. I loved that actor. And Suzan-Lori Parks, she did the risky, daring stuff, which is what I live for and which is what I always wanted someone to hire me for.
Yeah.
And George gave it to me. And the rehearsal, I'll tell you, the first day, meet and greet, we're at Bagels and Cream Cheese and, you know, we're there. And just before everybody gives the big report and introductions. And there's a scene in the play where Hester is desperate enough to, you know, go down on this man for money.
Yeah.
Reggie Montgomery comes to me while I'm, you know, doing my bagel cream cheese. And he goes, Charlayne, I know how persnickety you are. So I want you to know, don't worry, I am circumcised. I said, wait a minute. He said, oh, no. This is off Broadway, serious off Broadway. We are not pulling punches.
Oh, my God.
Day.
Oh, my God.
First day.
You were like, I'm in it now.
We're in it, you know. It's be careful what you pray for, because there I was. And Reggie at the time was very ill. And I know he knew this was his last play. And he was going to make it count every day. And that was another thing that really inspired me daily, was to watch Reggie Montgomery come to work every day, no matter what condition he was in. And he came to rehearsal. And the first thing I wanted to do was find my own Hester, La Negrita. So I was all over the village. They put me up in the village. So I'm all over the East Village, looking for all looking at these homeless women, hoping I could make friends with one and, talk to her.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody would talk to me. Everybody was so deeply into their thing. Who's sharing with a stranger? The fact that they wouldn't even talk to me, and if they gave eye contact, it was like, bitch, get out of my face. It was like that. That told me a lot.
Yeah.
And we were in rehearsal. Back then we had, Joe Pep, back then at the Public, they gave you 6 weeks to originate a play. Remember those days? Mm-hmm. And so I'm in rehearsal one day. We're 2 weeks in. And I'm trying to make sure I have a relationship with my kids, who also turn into my tormentors. And I'm working on these things, relationships. I had it all planned. I have a process, And then one day, Suzan-Lori sat there, we're about 2 weeks in, and she said, she jumped up, threw the script, and said, Hester La Negrita does not speak like Charlayne. And I said, Hester La Negrita speaks like Charlayne now. That's not what I'm working on. I don't want to plant some kind of a low-life dialect on her, mm-hmm. because I know it's going to show up. And I know when I speak her words, when I feel what she's feeling, it will be done the right way. And it will not be done like Charlayne, because I'm nothing like her.
Yeah.
She walked out, and then she disappeared for about 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God.
And when she came back, we were in rehearsal, and Hester knew how to speak by then.
It must be so intimidating and intense to work in front of the playwright that way.
Oh, I love working in front of live playwrights.
Okay.
That's a challenge.
Yeah.
It makes it even more of a challenge, and and they're all different, but that's my thing. I love originating. And she came back. We had a good rehearsal. And I think Suzan-Lori is a different kind of woman. Mm-hmm. And when she left, when we were on a break, I, of course, was doing my push-ups. I try to keep my energy going. I'm doing these push-ups. And didn't she come and get down there with me? And we were both, I'm like, oh, no, you don't. And we were like going at it and going at it and going at it, and we got to 50 and then we both dropped. And I thought, oh, look at that. That's an apology. We don't say again. Yes, Suzan-Lori Parks is fierce.
I love it.
She is fierce. And at first, she wasn't afraid to switch the play up and things. She had conventions in there that in rehearsal sort of slowed it down or whatever. And then they went out. They were gone. And I love that when the playwright is working based on what the playwright is seeing. I know that's why she was so impatient. It was like, I can't see Hester right now. How am I going to start these rewrites?
May I ask a question in relation to this? Like in relation to working with Suzan-Lori Parks, like in film, you play Tituba in Arthur Miller's, his own adaptation of The Crucible, directed by Nicholas Heitner. Tituba is, of course, one of the most analyzed supporting characters in this iconic piece because she is an outsider coerced into confession. The play was written in 1953 as an allegory for McCarthyism, but then he adapted it in 1996. Did you get to have any conversations with him about how he saw Tituba or like how that changed from the 50s to the 90s as race relations also changed?
None.
None?
I was so looking forward to doing that film because I knew I would be in the presence of Arthur Miller.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
But we had no discussion. He did not speak with the cast, except for the first day when I met him. And we were about to do a read-through. And of course, there was bagels and cream cheese again before the read-through.
Yeah.
And I was coming in, and then the producer grabbed me and said, Charlayne, I want you to meet Arthur. This is the moment. He's talking to Winona, and Winona's there. Everybody's in awe. And then the producer says, Arthur, I'd like for you to meet Charlayne. Arthur, she's playing Tituba. And he just kept talking to Winona. And I said to the producer, that's okay. I'm hungry. I'll go get breakfast. I go into the, getting, my cream cheese and my bagel and my lox. And then here comes Daniel Day-Lewis. And I said, hi. He's just getting it. Like he was in another world. He's just getting it. Oh my goodness. Now I'm really upset. I leave the bagels. I leave the cream cheese. I go outside and I get on the ground and I try to ground myself because I'm about to do a reading with these people. And so I sat on the ground. It touched the earth and asked for strength. We got into the reading, and Nicholas Heitner, and Winona's like, what are we going to do? How are we going to? I said, we're just going to, read it to see what it is. It's going to be a cinch. It's like, we just take it easy. It's not going to be a big old performance. And then Nicholas Heitner stood up and says, we'll have an intermission, but let's have at it.
Oh my God. It's like an intense first day.
And then he says, and for this reading, Arthur Miller will be playing Reverend Paris.
Stop it. That's offensive.
I said, are you kidding me? And he's there mouthing every word that every actor said around the table.
Oh, that's so intimidating and weird.
And then when it was my time, I was in the scenes, in it. And we were in the scene so that we were standing as we were talking and reading. And, it was like right away, it was like, bam, this reading is going to be on here, not down there. And everybody, then in comes John Proctor, and in comes, Joan Allen, and everybody's coming in. No intermission. Bam, we did that reading. I run outside, sit on the ground again. And then I hear plop, 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 plop. I look up, and this man with huge hands, Arthur Miller, grabbed me from the ground like this and says, what is your name? Who are you? Where did that come from? And I'm like, did you play this before? I said, no, I played Abigail in college, but it was just, and then I hear plop, 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 plop. Here comes Daniel Day-Lewis down the same flagstone path. Oh, it's so terrible to be meeting you in the reading. Hello, Charlayne. I'm dead. And there we were.
Okay, these motherfuckers need to put some respect on your name and your craft.
Prove it, no matter how long you've been working, no matter what you've done. We have to prove it. We have to show up every time. We have to, or we're not going to make it.
But that's a mind fuck also, isn't it?
It could have been, but I have this thing of, what am I going to choose to do now? Right now? Am I going to choose to say, you know what, guys, I'm through? No. Where does that get you? I have one thing that I can use. I have a weapon, and it's called my concentration, my emotional life, my training. I have the weapons to deal with this. I will be undeniable in that reading. I chose to tell myself something else. We have to do that, or we'll be trampled. We'll be walked over. Women, Black women, all that going against you.
Yeah.
And I'm known, at the time, I was known only for my theater work.
Yeah.
Which I guess, Arthur Miller didn't come see those musicals.
Please.
Or anything. He hadn't seen anything.
It's disappointing, and I mean, it sounds like an incredible experience because you brought what you brought to it. But like you said, maybe a less seasoned or less confident actor would have been put at a disadvantage by the sort of energy that they brought into the room.
Yeah, we have to be ready for it.
Yeah.
Because you never know where it's going to come. Who knew it would happen on the set of The Crucible?
Oh, your performance is beautiful. It really is beautiful.
Oh, thank you. Oh, but that's another story, but we won't go into that.
Oh, no, we'd love to hear it if you feel willing.
Oh, no.
Okay. You can tell us after. Okay. So we will get into a little bit more theater, but let's talk about all the other film and TV work you've done. So you've been in some of the most well-known TV series of the last 30 years. So a laundry list for some of our listeners: A Different World, Roseanne, The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Frasier, In Treatment, FX's Pose, The Spiderwick Chronicles, Anne Rice's Mayfair Witch, The Sarah Connor Chronicles, and so many more. So we were interested in knowing like which series, one we listed or maybe one we didn't, has been your absolute favorite gig. And if not favorite, which one is you think something you wish more people had seen you do?
I did a mini series. Are we counting that?
Yeah, of course, of course.
And it's called Secret Invasion.
Yes, we're going to get there, but let's talk about it.
I was the wife of Sam Jackson's iconic character.
Yeah.
And I have to tell you, every time I work with Sam, it's kind of marvelous and fun and crazy, very challenging, but wonderful to work. He's I know him, I've done 3 shows with him. So, but that going to London for 6 months, and having to be very secretive about it because it was Marvel. Nobody could even know I was leaving the country, and going to England, because then they'd know, oh, you must be. So,
oh my God.
I was all like on the down low and in London, and I had my own apartment, and it was an absolute gift. And, Sam, he walks onto the set like as if he's got a cape on that said, "I'm Alpha Dog."
Yeah.
And everybody, especially the Brits, everybody's shaking in there. Let's go. And, and he does his close-ups in one take.
Oh my God.
And then he's expecting, okay, I'm not going to be here all day.
Right.
And I said, okay, I'm taking 3. Okay. That's how it is.
We need to tell the listeners who might not be familiar, you don like alien ears, green prosthetics as, Vara, the alien who promised to assume a dying woman's likeness in order to comfort Nick Fury with a human face. Like, how hard, like, obviously there's all this mystique around the Marvel Cinematic Universe, but like, also how hard was it for you to like study the lore? Because it's very complicated of like all of the moving pieces.
Well, you know what? I looked at maybe, 4 of them. They're very long. And I was like, wow.
You're telling us.
And then I stopped looking at them because I said, my lady has nothing to do with them, because when I was first hired, she wasn't an alien.
You get to play the groundedness of it. You kind of get the best of both worlds.
And then what happened is she grew over those 6 months. And then I had to go back to London and do that other stuff at, the rewrite that made me an alien.
Cool. It was a rewrite. Interesting.
So that whole role snuck up on me.
Oh my God, this is a weird industry.
But I had, I loved it. I had we had combat and guns and, we killed 13 guys at one time. Oh, it was so much fun, doing those kind of action adventure. And I actually had an action adventure scene. I loved it.
That's very cool.
I mean, I just loved it. I lived in Kensington, and it was just such a fun. It was fun. It was like, it's at the end. It's like late in my career, I'm actually doing something that's not just work and not just for money, but it was fun.
That's awesome.
And it was just fun, and every day was challenging and lovely, and there was Sam, leading the way like he does. It was good.
Let's talk about the other projects that you worked with Sam. So this is in the M. Night Shyamalan universe. So you play Sam's mom in Unbreakable and Glass. That's 2 parts of the trilogy that he has.
I like how you're calling him Sam also now.
I know. I didn't earlier, but I felt like I had license to.
Samuel L. Jackson.
Samuel L. Jackson, Mr. Jackson. Can you talk to us about that experience, and also like what working on an M. Night Shyamalan set is, which has often been described as very particular?
That's bliss, working with Night.
Okay.
Because Night is having fun. He's not one of those directors that's like, we got to get the... No, he's really having fun all day long. You can see he's in it. And he's very comfortable. And he does them all in Pennsylvania. Like,
Yeah.
we were in Philadelphia shooting the first one. And I love that, using the city and using the people and, you know, and also when you walk onto the set, there's like this whole thing of like, oh, why are we doing this? Because I said so. Oh, you're the alpha now. Okay. You know, he's like that. There was this little boy I had in the first film, and he was embarrassed because once it was time for him to shoot, he saw all his friends from school were the extras.
Oh, yeah.
And he became very, self-conscious, and he didn't want to do the scene. And Night said, come on, we're on the playground. Let's just toss the ball around. And they played basketball. They did one-on-one basketball.
That's sweet.
And then he says, you ready to work? He says, yeah, okay, let's go.
That's great.
Night was like that.
Yeah, that's a pro.
He was great. And then later on that night, that little boy was tired. He was like, he wasn't a professional. They got him because he was just perfect. And he said, I don't know. And Night said, look here, you got to work in the next 15 minutes. And if you don't, whatever you give us now is in the movie forever. Okay? That little boy said, came right on in and did his job. It's like, we're not playing basketball now. We have 15 minutes and you have to go.
Honestly, he treated the kid, kindly, but also like a professional. Maybe that's the lesson learned.
And Night would say, oh, it was a good day. Let's all go to dinner together. And the whole crew and all the cast, and we'd all go to a restaurant. And we were like, at this point in Allentown, Pennsylvania. And take over the restaurant, crew, the whole family. It was always, with Night, it's a family affair. These people have worked with him all their, it's all of his life as a filmmaker. And you just step right on back into that family. It's kind of marvelous.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to make movies, and seems sort of like that's a little bit of a dying breed when it comes to a director that works that way.
And when he first hired me and I had to age during the first film, they put this crinkly stuff on my face and my face didn't budge. The second time, it's 15 years later, I said, you can put the crinkly stuff on, it'll work this time. He said, well, I'm not taking any chances. And then I had to have prosthetics. And I didn't look like myself at all, but I like that too.
Yeah, that's fun.
Charlayne, you play Helena, Damon's modern dance teacher on Ryan Murphy's series Pose. And it's historic. It's the first television series to feature the largest ensemble of openly trans actors. Did you feel the significance of that project when you were shooting it in 2018?
Oh, absolutely. 90% of that cast had never been in front of a camera. And every day, their story was being told. They were telling their own story. These women were amazing. All of them. My student, Ryan, he wasn't really a dancer, but he would work with those Ailey dancers until his feet bled. And they weren't like shady, like, look at him. They were so supportive. Everybody was so supportive. On my first day of work there at the Ailey School, who's at the door of the rehearsal room when I show up? Judith Jameson.
May she rest, yes.
May she rest in peace. She was there to say, this is big. Good luck. You know what I mean? This was monumental, y'all.
Yeah, it's very cool.
It's incredible.
That was monumental to shed light on those people that, were in the dark.
Yeah.
It was wonderful. Ryan Murphy had all of these, production assistants. We had maybe easily 25 at a time, in the daytime, 30, all LGBTQ. I mean, he just exposed as many people as he could to the whole thing, the whole experience.
I appreciate that.
We
were very into your narrative as like the Ailey teacher and Damon's mentor. But of course, the show sort of like veers in terms of its trajectory. Did you know they were sort of like, she's in season 1 and 2, but then it sort of like changes and she doesn't come back? That was frustrating. Were you like, what the fuck is happening? Or you saw that one coming?
Yeah, I know. I didn't know we'd have a third.
Right.
And I didn't think they knew we'd have a third. So it didn't bother me. But I really loved the relationship with me and Blanca.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Because, it's not a normal relationship. And I have that relationship with my girlfriend that I lived in the building with a friend in New York back in the 80s and made friends. And I remember inviting her to our opening. And she was shocked because she didn't know that I knew that she was trans.
Wow. It's like an incredible full circle moment.
30 years. And she says, Charlayne, she says, who are you? Who are you, Charlayne? I'm thinking you don't know anything and you brought me to this. She wept through that entire screening. She just wept because that was her world. And I brought her to the party. And it meant a lot to her.
It's awesome.
And to me that she was my good friend, but she was just my girlfriend.
Yeah.
But she didn't have a lot of, cisgender girlfriends.
Mm-hmm. It's an amazing piece to be a part of historically. And I feel like looking back on that, it's like, I can't believe that they got as much made as they did. Thank God that they did get it made.
Yes. But it seems to have shined a light on it. The shining of the light is good, but then it's gotten out of hand now. Because people are like, oh, another set of others. Another set of others, another set of people we could attack.
We can torment, yeah.
We can concentrate our energy on, right? And make part of the political landscape. I know it's a much darker time that we're living in. I feel like the art reflects that, but I feel really grateful that you were able to be a part of Pose because it feels so celebratory.
Oh, that was a blessing. And it came I'm doing the last day on glass and they call and say, when you get home, there's going to be a man waiting in the lobby hand delivering a very secret script.
Oh, because it was supposed to be Tatiana Maslany was connected and they went in a different direction for the character. So that was, you were looped in sort of as things were already moving. Wow.
Exactly. And when I went to work, there I was watching that big dance routine, that was out of this world. And I knew then I was a part of something special and something singular.
Yeah, and there's something sort of beautiful about your casting also that for the audience who knows you and knows your work and the gravitas that you bring to it, it's like you carved your own way as a Black woman in this industry in your own way. And so this was a story about, marginalized trans folks who are also carving a way for them. It's cool and meta if I ever thought about it like that.
Oh yeah.
One of my favorite roles of yours is sort of silly, but it's as Aunt Janice on The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, because you play sister to Aunt Viv, both Janet Hubert and then later former guest of the show, Daphne Maxwell Reid.
Oh no, I wasn't on after
You
Janet
only did it when it was Janet. So Janet Hubert is Aunt Viv. You're her youngest sister, but then also Jennifer Lewis and Vernee Watson are the other sisters. These were some of my favorite episodes because it was like all of these amazing actresses, Black actresses also getting to volley with one another. Were those the women that were in the audition room with you when you were coming up, when there were still audition rooms? Who was in the room with you in those days?
None of them.
None of them.
None of them. We all knew each other from New York.
New York theaters, yeah.
Yes, because Janet, of course, and Jennifer, and I met Vernee when I got here, but we were all friends.
Yeah. I mean, I think it shows the rapport is so fun.
We were all friends. And Janet had said, oh, if I'm going to have a sister, it should be Charlayne. She looks like me.
I love it.
And so this is how, I went in and I auditioned and everything, but
I love her.
And when we would get together, when the sisters came, there was always some piano on the set, and Jennifer would get on the piano and we'd be singing. If it was Christmas, it's Christmas carols. If it's
totally,
we just sing, and the harmony just came, and we were playing, and then they'd say, okay, we're back, and then we'd go to work. It was so much fun. Now that I'm talking about this, I realize I've had a lot of fun in my work. I mean,
That's good.
It's a blessing.
that was great every time we got together. And then as soon as makeup and hair would be we're ready to go on, we had to go into Will's dressing room, which was simply a table and a boombox. And he put on a beat and we had to go around and do a rap. Like,
That was like your pre-show work, whatever.
it was the scariest moment of my life ever.
What was your rap?
You had to make it up. Here I am. I'm trying to sing. I'm trying to play. I'm trying to be. You just try. I'm trying. It was ridiculous. I was bad at it. Everybody was nervous, but we would get into it. And then at the end, makeup and hair would be upset. They'd have to do our makeup, get us together again, pull us together, and we'd go out and we would hit. And he was just ridiculously brilliant.
I think that fun really translated to the audience. Like, I felt that as a young person. It was like so fun watching you guys fire off with one another. I mean, and it was all, I just love the women, we love actresses, and I loved watching you guys volley.
Yeah, no, that first time when we all met in the kitchen, and oh my God, we just did that in the rehearsal. We just did that.
It just worked.
That was wonderful. That was at the very beginning when I first came here, and I was doing sitcoms. Yeah.
So we're going to move back in time a little bit to talk about the 1978 Ain't Misbehavin. Of course, you were in the original Broadway cast, the London premiere, the film TV version in 1982, and then the 1988 revival. Of course, the cast included Nell Carter, Andre DeShields, Armelia McQueen, and the great Ken Page. So everyone knows this, but if you don't, it's a musical review of Fats Waller's music. This show is a gift and a hallmark of the American musical theater. Talk to us about how you look back on this project, since it occupied so much of your life for such a long time. Does the choreography and music still live in your body?
Well, I feel like I cut my teeth on musicals with Aint. And I worked with a cast of people who were basically veterans at that time, young veterans,
Yeah.
And they had a high bar because they had workshopped this play at Manhattan Theater Club. And cars were around the block, limousines to get in and see them. And they cast me for the Broadway show. And because I had a TV movie of the week that came on, Cindy.
Of course.
3 days before the audition. And Richard Maltby's mom said, have her come in. And so there I was.
So Cindy opened the door for that. Interesting.
Cindy led directly within 3 days. It
Amazing.
led to Ain't Misbehavin. I didn't want to go to the audition. I didn't come to New York to be a singer.
Okay.
This would be, I just finished, the hair revival and the movie. And now I'm coming back from Cindy. I sang in all of that. I don't want to do this. But on the day of they wanted a ballad and an up-tempo 40s style. Did I have any of that? Did I have a pianist? No, nothing. And I wasn't going to go. And my boyfriend at the time, whom I eventually married, Alan Harris, he said, I think you should go. And he just threw me into the shower. And then I said, okay, well, I will wear a pair of black jeans and my striped sneakers and a sweatshirt. And I went to the audition, and Elena Reed was right before me with a 3-piece band, and the women were in tuxedos and all these cocktail dresses. They looked beautiful, and there I was looking like I'm going on an errand. But I went in, and they said, what are you singing? I said, Old Lang Syne. They sang it in the movie.
I love you.
Because I love that song. We only get to sing it once a year. And a dream was being fulfilled. I was on a stage in New York doing an audition. Yes, I had to sing, but that was a dream. So I sang Gladys Knight's version of Old Lang Syne.
Love that.
Then they said, do you have an up-tempo? And I sang it fast. And they said, get out of here. And then they said, come back this afternoon with tap shoes. You do dance. And I said, now I'm in it, I said,
Yeah.
And I called my girlfriend, Sally Wong. I said, Sally, she's a dancer. I need you to make me look like a dancer. She came from Queens with her tap shoes and her French cut leotard and a scarf over here. And she made me look like a dancer. And she says, you'll never get the steps, but just listen to the rhythm and smile. That's it. And I went back to the audition. And it was really ridiculous, and Andre was pecking around me like some kind of a rooster, and I didn't like him, and I was hitting him with my scarf. It was crazy. But all of that became part of my thing.
Right. And
I loved that. That was another thing where I got to insert myself into that group. How am I going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
I don't sing, so I'm going to create the lady that sings. That's what I told them. And I told them I won't sing the ballad. We won't rehearse the ballad for 2 weeks because I have to create the lady who's going to sing the ballad first. They said, who is this actor student? That's what my cast said. Who is this girl? But I only knew one way to work. I had to create, where's the lady?
Yeah.
Who's going to do all this? Because Charlayne doesn't.
How long did it take for the lady to arrive?
Well, I had 3 weeks.
So you needed to find her in that time.
I had 3 weeks before the first preview. And then we had 3 weeks of previews. Now that was ridiculous.
Mm.
That was really wild. That was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And when I think about it now, it's still the most difficult thing I ever did, but ever so rewarding. It proves if you just walk through that fire, just walk through the fire with no fear of failure. And it can work. And it did work. And Andre said, I got to get out of this show. It's so hard. Andre said, you can't leave this show until you master these musicals. You can't walk away from musical theater until you learn. And they taught me everything. I watched them, Baby. He did it like, we were like that. And we were all on the album. We were in studio all the time. And then I did Aint with her. And she was like very upset about that. How did you get to this point of having a Broadway play and you have paid no dues? And it was almost like everything about her taught me everything I know. Everything about her. I understood why she was the way she was, because once again, like the business wasn't fair until she, after a while, she had to earn it, and she was all about earning it. And she felt like I had not. It was early on, but I always appreciated the challenge that she gave me, because it was through that challenge that I became a bit of a fighter, a person who stood up for herself, because I didn't look like it. And people would come for me. And then I would have to let them know, But, that's the theater. And I tell my students, when I have these students and they're like, you hurt my feelings in the exercise, traumatized me. I said, what are you going to do when you get in the business, darling?
Yeah.
It's not going to care about your trauma. Use it.
Right.
I came up in a rough time.
The business seems so different now in terms of how it prioritizes certain types of discomfort.
And everybody has gone to school now, too. So everyone's coming out of these conservatories, Carnegie Mellon, Harvard, and Yale, all these places where you're being taught how to do the show. We were not taught how to do the show.
Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think it's sort of homogenized the art form?
It has made things safer. It has made, we have those intimacy coaches now.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, doing these scenes before without anybody, just a director and the cast looking on, and the person that you have to kiss doesn't like you or you don't like. Those intimacy coaches get in there right away. They're there from day one.
Right. And
they make you make friends. If there's the least little something, I just slap my son and daddy and Jeremy O'Harris's play. And when we came to rehearse that, there she was. I'm thinking, and she made us, the way she did it is like we made friends. Not going out for a hamburger or anything like that, because I had tried that. It didn't work. She made us me and my son, she brought us together so that every night we were working together when that slap came.
That is a beautiful thing. Yeah.
Yeah, no, we're more protected now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But you do have to be on your good behavior at all times. Because before it was like, oh, we're all talented, so everybody's going to put up with us as long as we come to work at 7:30 and do that job.
Right.
Now it's like, you better pay attention to your roommates and your castmates because I will take you to court.
Right. Right. And you know what? A lot of those people needed to be taken to court back in the day. So I'm here for that.
That's a book. Yes.
I'm sorry. We have one credit that we must get to, and that's when you played Gail Devers. Of course, the Olympic sprinter in the 1996 film Run for the Dream, opposite the great Paula Kelly, Louis Gossett Jr., Robert Guillaume. They really put you through the ringer in this because Gail was like this world-class athlete, but she nearly had her feet amputated due to Graves' disease. So can you talk about how grueling this short shoot was physically and how you prepared?
Yeah, it was 19 days of hell.
Oh my God.
Wow.
It really is an emotional and physical performance.
19 days. And before that, I had a month of training to learn how to hurdle and to sprint.
You look good doing it, but it must have been challenging.
That was really fun. Although they did add in another hurdler, I would start the thing, but I had to learn how. And even when I was learning to hurdle, the first time I ran the hurdles, not hopped over each one, but first of all, my rehearsals were right there at UCLA on the other side of the track as Gail Devers was getting ready for the Olympics.
Oh my God, that's insane.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy.
How crazy is that?
Yeah.
And then one day my coach introduced me to her. She came walking. Oh boy, she was all legs and all confidence. And just meeting her that day gave me everything I needed, Mm-hmm. I met her for like 5 minutes. We didn't go to lunch or anything. We didn't, and the way she walked around that track and shook my hand and looked into my eyes and that she was a champion in more ways than one. And I was determined to deal with that. I had a tough director, Nima Barnett. She was tough. And I just made sure that every day before I came to work, I would have a good cry. I'd say to the driver before we got to the set, let me know when we are 5 minutes away. And then I'd have a good cry. And I said, please don't tell anybody about this. And he said,
did you feel like that was the clearing that you needed to sort of walk on set and perform?
To walk on set and deal, yeah. Because it was scary too. But I had visualized myself running and a camera crew in front of me and filming me run every day when I did my run around Pan Pacific Park. And I did that visualization, and so I called it up.
It's a great performance. Again, we'll link out to it in our show notes so people can watch it if you haven't seen it. It really is great.
Yeah, it was tough.
How was Paula Kelly? We love her. She is often talked about here just because she was such a underrated legend,
Well, Paula Kelly, that's what she was, a legend.
Yeah.
And, a professional.
Yeah.
The cast was full of amazing people.
Totally.
Stacked.
Yeah.
Stacked.
Mm-hmm. Full of amazing people. And Nima Barnett said, Charlayne, I'm going to surround you with very good people because I know you're just a singer.
Oh my God.
So insulting.
Oh my God.
Right away. In front of everybody.
Way to build you up.
I said, okay, here we go.
The movie also has like a lot of like sexy scenes, which is and it's an interesting choice in hindsight watching it. Like a lot of like 90s sort of like stock are.
Well, I must tell you, when we had that scene and I came in and there was a red negligee and I said like a teddy and red and lace. And I said, I'd like to speak to the director. I said, Nima, remember, she's a college student and she's sick. And I don't think she should be wearing this like she's going to seduce the boy. I just feel like she should be in like a tank top and some boy shorts or something, but
right.
Not that. She says, look, I'm going to have sex scene in my show.
Okay. She had a vision, apparently.
All right, T.
And there we were, me and my partner. And I remember being I don't know how he felt, but I was uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's no way for it to not be a little bit uncomfortable. But then also, if that is what you know going into it, it's like, okay, got it. So
it was very uncomfortable. And I said, but I have to do it. See, that's what I say. Like with TV and film, in the roles that I get, you don't really have any power. But in theater, you've got more power as an actor. And maybe because they pay us less money and but we have a lot more power over our performance even, if you're on stage and you see, we have power over the performance. No matter what we did in rehearsal, we can change. That moment can change on a dime, and also as the playwright, you are the king.
Yeah.
The playwright is the boss.
Right. Film and TV is not the actor's medium.
No. And they don't care much about the writers either.
Right.
You just do what you do. Everything I've done, I have to say now, talking to you guys, everything has been an uphill climb. But everything in my upbringing had gotten me ready for the uphill climb. And if the upbringing didn't, then the people placed before me prepared me for the uphill climb.
Yeah.
I'm just very grateful for surviving and not giving up, and for the chances that people took on me. They took chances.
If it is an uphill climb, it is also like a lifetime of incredible performances that you've like put on film and on stage. So I feel like, that's a beautiful thing, no matter how you got there.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's overwhelming when I hear you all talk about all these things I've done in these years. It's kind of... it's a blessing. It's all a blessing.
Yeah. Okay, Charlayne, we have a few last things to get through. We promise you it's rapid fire for us. You can take time if you need to. It's just so we can get in every last credit, and then we're going to release you, let you go.
Okay.
Okay, Charlayne, your character Ducey works for the owner of a brothel in the 1995 TV miniseries Buffalo Girls about the Wild West, Calamity Jane, Annie Oakley, etc. Everyone in this series is performing with some version of a Southern meets Prairie West accent, except for the person playing your boss, Dora Dufresne, played by Melanie Griffith. Tell us everything. She's like, hi, Ducey, can you bring Liev Schreiber in, please? Now I'm ready to have sex with him. I was like, she is not in the same universe. I love it. I love her. She
was something else. You really had to try and stand your ground on the set. Because it's like, maybe I don't like that line. Let's cut that and let's cut that. I said, that's 3 of my lines.
Right. Oh, my God.
My lines. Yeah, but we don't need them because I said, but you have a bigger part, but I need it for my part. And we own this saloon together, okay?
Exactly.
I am not a slave.
Yes.
I am a free woman who owns this place with you. And so at one point she said, I would like to have that coat that Charlayne's wearing at the funeral so that when I wear it, people will think that I gave it to her. I said, well, that's the main, and the poor costume designer is explaining it to me like, Charlayne, can you let her use it? I said, okay, no, I bought that coat.
Right, and that's character, that's storytelling.
My coat, I will not be reduced to some servant.
Yes.
I am a partner in this saloon.
Hell yes.
And I've learned how not to do it like a big old temper tantrum.
Yeah.
Do it as if someone's being childish, that's okay. I will be the adult. And you don't scream and go crazy on a kid. You just tell the truth. No, that's not appropriate.
Yep.
Those are tough days. Those that's tough when you have that kind of a partner.
Yeah.
But that's the way she worked. That's another thing. We all have to deal with everybody's process.
Yeah.
Right.
We just have to be able to handle everyone's process, but you cannot let them handle you.
Oof, that is good advice.
Okay, Charlayne, your scene with Angela Bassett in John Sayles' Sunshine State has you pinning laundry to an outdoor clothesline. As an actor, do you like to have a task? And like, did you plan your pinning style? You don't like having a task.
Must have behavior.
Yeah. It's part of your technique.
Must have behavior. Must not enter with, you got to have behavior, because it's behavior that grounds you to the reality of what's going on. And also doing that clothesline. You know, I grew up going down south every summer with my grandparents, where they, you know, she had a tub and a scrub board, and there was the clothes out on the line. And there's a technique to putting clothes on the line. The pants, the short pants, the blouses, everything had to look beautiful on a line. You just don't. So I had to choreograph my basket with the stuff. John Sayles is great to work with. He never even cut that scene. That scene is long, and he just let it be.
It's really beautiful scene work.
The whole thing breathes so well. It's gorgeous.
And so I had to make that line look great, because that's how we do hang clothes on the line. Behavior is the answer. Behavior grounds you. Without behavior, you're just standing there like being like, now what am I going to do? And what do I do with my hands? You're not in the scene.
Yeah.
But as soon as you have to fold something, as soon as you have to zip up your pants on the entrance, you're in.
Yeah.
Yeah, behavior is, for me, everything. And I love working with Angela. You know, she was my girlfriend in New York City.
Oh, I love that.
You know, and we did Henry IV together at the Delacorte Theater. And John Sayles is another one, you know. He just said, this was a good day. Let's be done with it, and let's just go sailing.
Okay. I love.
Yeah. That sounds great.
No, his crew, he's another one where the crew works with him all these years. And he liked the scene as it was. I just knew that scene was going to be cut up. That's why I don't look at a lot of my work, because everything gets so edited. And so I said, okay, for the sake of the piece. Vinette Carroll taught me that, darling, we are working for the piece, darling, not for your career.
It's interesting, yeah.
So I never expected that Angela and I would have that whole experience immortalized like that.
That's beautiful. Okay, Charlayne, we were talking about process before. You appeared opposite Sally Field in Eye for an Eye and opposite the aforementioned Daniel Day-Lewis in The Crucible. Both Sally and Daniel identify as method actors. Which one of them was more method?
Well, see, and we're all method actors. Sally and I are members of the studio.
Right.
And everything. I don't think there's such a thing as more method.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Daniel does that thing of even after all through the whole run of the film, he is in character.
Yeah.
Some people don't have to do that. Some people can just, like Sally, get in there,
Yeah.
And working with John Schlesinger, he's something else. When I showed up on the set and she and I were talking about, what's the matter, Sally? She said, nothing. And we just went right on, and she goes, and he's going to come. He sits right up under the camera for the close-up. He's not over there in Video Village. He's under the camera, and he's right there. You can't help but be honest with that, And he's just looking for truth.
That's very cool.
And that's all we're ever doing is we're on the search for the truthful moment. And one moment leads to the next and the next and the next. And working with Sally, it was like I was working with an old friend.
I love that.
I took Pilates lessons for that. And that's what introduced me seriously to Pilates.
I love that.
Well, you look very good in it.
For 3 months before, so that I can sort of show her how to do it. It was great.
Yeah.
And she is a joy to work with. She's not a star. She doesn't come with all that extra. She doesn't have a big old entourage of people. She's so human. She's not above or below. She's right in there with you. And she works as hard on your close-up as I work on hers.
That is a true star.
And stars don't always do that. I've been on shows where the person leaves and I've done all my close-ups with the stand-in.
Like they don't do coverage.
Well, it's time to go. I got something else to do. But not Sally.
I appreciate that.
She's wonderful. And I love that she isn't afraid to get involved with our union and the problems that we had. She's great.
Charlayne Woodard, thank you so much for joining us on You Might Know Her From. I can't tell you, this has been just such a joy to talk to you today.
Well, thank you. Thank you, guys. I love going down memory lane on my career.
It really is a beautiful thing. So one of the pleasures of this show is that we feel like we've created this web, this interconnected web. And
the chart, babe.
The chart. Oh my God, you're right. It's the chart. It's the L word chart. So back in season 1, I think it started with Talia Balsam, and we connected her to obviously her mother, Joyce Van Patten. And then we had Eileen Davidson, who's her daughter-in-law.
Eileen
cousin.
Davidson is married to Joyce's brother's son. So she's like cousin-in-law with Talia, and I guess aunt is that make Joyce her aunt-in-law?
You know, I'm horrible with family trees because I have 53 first cousins.
She's in-laws with them.
Yeah. So, you know, along the way, then it's like, oh, she is childhood friends with Mandy Ingber and considers Joyce Van Patten a second mom. And Jolie Fisher is also part of that crew from when they were, anyway.
And then like Lainey Kazan is somehow, how is she connected?
She's friends with Jolie Fisher's mom, Connie Fisher.
Right. And then it was like, they were all in the pool with Renee Taylor. And we were like, oh my God, like, what is this?
And so I feel like it had been a while since we had been building on our mythology of connecting the character actresses that we've spoken to over the last 7 seasons. And this one dropped like a bombshell when Damien texted me. Was it the day after we talked to Charlayne, when she tells this story about Pose, which obviously we knew the importance of Pose, and her telling the story about bringing her girlfriend to the premiere and her girlfriend not knowing that Charlayne knew that she was a trans woman. It was a beautiful story. You heard it. And then Damien texts me the next day. And what do you say?
I realized that the woman that she took to the Pose premiere was none other than former guest of the show and also friend of the show, did our live New York show, Sandra Caldwell.
And when Damien sent me the audio clip, he went back and sent me our interview with Sandra from 2020. And Sandra is talking about going to the premiere of Pose with Charlayne, right?
Absolutely, yeah. I think they used to live in the same building or something like that.
And however many, what was that, 6 years apart? We didn't make the connection in the moment, but Damien was smart enough to put the pieces together the next day. And it was just like, what a beautiful thing. And the way that Charlayne told that story, I thought was so beautiful. And we've had a renewed love affair with Sandra Caldwell on this show, like Damien said, since she did our live show, and just are such supporters of the brilliant work that both of these women are doing. So knowing that they are friends and connected, and that both of them shared stories about the other that was the same story on our very show. This is the work we do, folks. This is the beauty of You Might Know Her From.
Folks, if you love You Might Know Her From, then please consider supporting us over at the Patreon. That is where we are doing deep dives, we are doing book clubs, we are interviewing actress adjacent folks. Go over to the Patreon at patreon.com/You Might Know Her From, and you can find out what we're doing there and how you can support us. It is the best way to support this independently produced podcast that is produced by Duck You Dragon. Of course, that is me and Anne. Thank you so much.
And you got to follow us on social media. Damien is doing incredible work over on the You Might Know Her From TikTok and Instagram. Follow us there. You can find us individually on socials as well. But the important thing is that you follow the show, because that's where all the good bits are going to come from. We also want to thank Gang. All of the music you hear on each and every episode of You Might Know Her From is courtesy of Gang. They are 3/4 women. They are from Philadelphia. Go stream their music wherever you listen to your bops. And of course, we would be remiss if we didn't thank our great editor for this season, Adam Brown. Adam has come through. He is just adding that little extra touch of finesse to each episode. We love you. We thank you, Adam.
Folks, do you want to see a clip of Charlayne Woodard in Cindy? Do you want to see a clip of Charlayne's number from Ain't Misbehavin? Then you're going to check out the show notes. That's where my cohort, my co-host, my best friend, Ann Rodeman, is archiving each and every little topic that we talk about, every piece of esoteria or tidbit that you might want to reference later, that we want to reference later. They are all documented in the show notes of each and every episode. So take a look at the show notes. They are a treasure trove for your eyes and ears. Last night, I had revisited our Olga Merediz episode. I was really like, I don't know, I was revisiting it and she was talking about a Cuban sandwich. So a few hours later, I got stoned and I was ordering dinner and I was trying to figure out what I wanted. And I landed on a cheeseburger. And so I was so excited. And did I say I got stoned? I got stoned. So I was waiting for the cheeseburger and I was like texting with one of my brothers and I was like, oh my God, I'm on the ceiling. I have a cheeseburger en route. I'm dreaming of it. I talked to my friend Jonathan on FaceTime very briefly. He said, that's what I'm doing. I said, my edible just hit. I'm waiting on a cheeseburger. Cheeseburger got there. I open it up. I have my mustard ready to go. I have a knife and a fork. I'm sitting on the sofa and I open up the burger and I say, oh, it's a Cuban sandwich. I forgot that in the moment I was ordering a cheeseburger and I saw Cuban and I thought, oh, I just listened to that Olga episode. I should have a Cuban instead. But I had really been thinking about a burger the whole time. But the Cuban was still good.
How did it hit? Yeah.
It was still good. It was a lot more bread and like stuff that I really wanted, like the beef patties.
Yeah.
But you know.
We got to go to Guantanamera, which she recommended, though she hadn't tried on. I think it's on 8th Avenue, but I think we should go this month.